I haven't talked about stuff like this in detail in so long, but fighting was difficult because you didn't never shoot at nobody before. You know, you shot at targets. You didn't know what being shot at and shooting at people was gonna be like. And fighting jungle was a whole, if you ain't never been in the jungle, being in a jungle is like being in a whole nother planet. It's so thick, so hot, so humid. You got to deal with the insects, you got to deal with the stuff that don't want you there, you know, all kinds of the element, the whole 9 yards. Then, God, I don't know. It's been so long. I don't even know if I can remember some of the stuff that we did, man. But the first mission that we went on after we got to Vietnam, you know, you get settled in once you get there, and you get to try to know your surroundings. Our base camp was on the coast, right on the beach line. So the jungles was. Once you left over there, you had to catch a helicopter to go to wherever you were going in the jungles. They would find an area that was clear enough for helicopters to land in order for you to get off the helicopters to go further in the jungle. Coming off the helicopter, you're coming off shooting because you don't know where nobody is. That was hard. You being shot at, and you shooting, you don't even know who you're shooting at, you just shooting just because they shooting. Some guys didn't make it off the helicopter. You couldn't get too close to people because you didn't know whether they were gonna be here today and gone tomorrow. So you had to depend on everybody, but you didn't want to get real close with anyone. And that sticks with me today because I had one guy that I considered a friend, had done his year and was getting ready to come home and got killed on his last mission. That like broke me. I still dream about that sometime today. And from that point on, we were buddies, but we wasn't real good friends.
But were there any experiences with soldiers coming in from the field, directly to the plane, that stood out to you that you can tell us today?
You know, I don't know if I remember any individual. There were plenty of them, but I always noticed the ones that had they must have waited a while because there was caked mud on their shoes, and sometimes they had to wait for these flights. And they were exhausted by the time they got on the planes. So most of the time they fell asleep. But always when you lifted off from Nam going home or going to the next leg from Nam would be Japan. You know, it might be the Philippines, but generally it would be in Japan. And as soon as the plane would lift off, everybody would let out a hoot, a holler, and clap. Like it was the most wonderful thing that ever happened to them in their life. And I really enjoyed that. They were so happy. Of course, they did that when they landed as well. There was just such joyous applause, even though they knew they were going to get mud balls thrown at them toward the end of the war, even though they knew they were going to be humiliated, you know, and things. There are just some terrible stories around that. But for that moment of takeoff and landing, they couldn't have been happier. It was probably the happiest moment in their whole lives.
At what point did you realize that we need to get out of Vietnam? Because I know American troops left in '75, and then the North Vietnamese started to take over the rest of the country. What led you?
We
folks
want to
decide?
leave right away.
Okay.
But it's very hard at that time. Everybody don't want to let anybody know that you want to leave. Then let him tell.
Well, I think in the middle of March 1975, so we tried about at least 5 or 6 times. We have failed, but the last time, I would say 7 times, we tried the final when we get out there.
How long did it take after March of '75?
We get out Vietnam, I still remember, it's in November, no, in October of the year 1978.
3.5 years.
Yeah.
Very
During
hard.
the 3.5 years, we tried a few times, I told, we failed.
The successful trip. Tell me about the successful escape.
I have a relative. I think in the beginning he was also believed the communists. But then after the communists come for so many years, they see their difference. When they say they do something, but they didn't do, they do differently. So somehow that he know that they have people want to escape, and he helped. He actually helped us. Tell us this boat, this is a bigger boat. At that time, we really get to the big boat and save. So we spend all our money. My mother, she had the goal. She gave up the goal to lead. That's my aunt. She raised me. She's really a good lady, good person.
Did they get out?
She didn't get out because I still have my grandma for 90-some years old. Since we come out, when we get our citizenship, my grandma passed away. She, at that time, is telegram, right? Telegram and say that grandma passed away. Apply for me, so we applied for. And very lucky, this is all God's help. Because I wasn't her girl.
Right.
So she took all the youngest picture and told the people. She was raised me when I was a baby, and just like daughter. Somehow, I think that is God's help. Somehow that person helped her and get her very quick, not even a year, she can get out. People apply for several years to be able to get out, but not even a year, then she can get out. I really thank God for that.